Yeah, I think the first thing he brought was just, his great jokes and his personality, is like the first thing I would say that he brings. And to go along with that, just his like passion for the game. It's infectious, kind of even just doing like drills, he's just like laughing. Like, I mean, he just makes, practice more fun. But, football wise, um, Rob's one of the best tight ends of all time. Like someone I really looked up to when I was in college, kind of up in the Northeast there. And just his wealth of experience and kind of just being able to watch the way he plays and picking up on some of the little things that he does that sets him apart has been super useful and something that OJ and I talk about almost every day, like little things we noticed that he did that was like, oh, I never really seen someone do that, just small stuff like that. I think it's just going to definitely boost our games and definitely a little bit of a friendly competition between all of us, fighting for targets in practice and working together in the run game as well. So, I mean, it's just been awesome having him in the room.
Okay, next up is going to be Rick Stroud.
Hey, Cam, you've spent a good amount of time with Brady now, and, we've seen him be like real encouraging almost from the beginning. Also, I've seen him kind of celebrate, touchdowns and one that he supposedly ran in. Has any of that surprised you? I mean, we know he's competitive, but there's also, from what we've watched, I mean, there's also a side of him that will crawl up some guys' backsides pretty good too in games. So what is this good Brady kind of portion that you're watching?
Yeah. I want to say, I do think he would have scored yesterday. I think he would have found a way to get in. He was kind of moving. I was impressed. But yeah, I mean, I would say the number one thing I noticed with him initially was just his positivity. If it didn't if we ran a bad route or it was incomplete, he'd be like, hey, don't worry about it. We'll get the next one. And then really encouraging, obviously, when, you had a good catch or you ran a good route, stuff like that. But, there's been times too where he's kind of gotten on guys as well if it's not up to the standard that we're hoping for. So I think he does a good job balancing the two. And I've seen him obviously on game day, really go after guys. And I think that's just his competitive nature. I think that's kind of what sets him apart. But in practice, we've kind of seen a little bit of both.
Thanks.
Okay. Our next question is going to come from Ed Encina.
Hey, Cam, kind of going on that same kind of thread. Obviously Brady comes in. Like you said, he raises a certain to a certain standard, and obviously he came here because he thought that you guys could win a ring and get him another one. Is there a sense in the locker room too that with him there that I don't want to say like you guys don't want to mess it up for him, but that there's a certain kind of standard there of hey, this guy came here to do big things. We got to get this done.
Yeah, I think that's pretty spot on. He has raised the expectations, having a guy like Tom in here to leading the team, the success that he's had in his career definitely raised the expectations that we have for ourselves. And I wouldn't say it's about, letting Tom down. We look at the expectations as a positive. We're going to have more eyes on us, kind of a chance to show really the country kind of, who we are as players and as a team. And I think it's super exciting for us to have those expectations, and it's going to be a great opportunity.
All right, next is going to be Jenna Lane.
Cam, I've seen you have success with Brady out on the field. As someone that watched him all those years since you were up in that New England area for college, what's it like being on the receiving end of one of those touchdowns, and what's it like being part of those celebrations with him? Is it surreal?
I would say the only surreal part was really the first time I threw with him. It was like, shoot, man, that's Tom Brady I caught a pass from. But I mean, I don't want to say like the luster wears off, but we're teammates now, and as much as I look up to him, we're both doing our jobs, and So I don't think there's kind of that starstruck, like, shoot, I'm playing with, Tom Brady, like, I can't mess it up. It's more like, I got to do my job. He's going to do his job. We're working together to do the best we can as a team. And I would say that's kind of more of the dynamic there now at this point.
And how much does trust play a role in what you guys do? Because like he's throwing to windows that aren't even there yet because he's seeing them before they're even there. What's it like being part of that?
Yeah, I mean, Tom, a big part of his game is getting the ball out of his hand fast and having trust in the receivers and being in the right spots. And that's something that you can't do really until you're out on the field practicing against the defense. So being able to get actual reps against the defense during training camp has been awesome as far as working on timing with everything for all the receivers and him. And you can tell definitely both sides are starting to feel more comfortable with that aspect of it.
Thank you.
And next is going to be Mark Cook.
Hello, Ron.
Hello.
You spent a lot of time with Jameis Winston after practice. We used to see you after training camp. Once practice was over, you guys working on red zone and things like that. And it really paid off because you guys developed a nice chemistry. You could see that in your production in the red zone with Jameis here. Are you missing that with Tom? Is that something you guys do? Is that, how is that going to develop? Can you do it just during that 2-hour window in practice, or do you miss those times, after practice? And is that something you might want to start doing?
Yeah. So obviously with Jameis, one of the hardest workers I know, always wanted to, get those throws in after practice. I think, with all the reps that we're getting right now, especially during the condensed training camp with all these practices we've been getting, we kind of got to make sure we're not doing too much. So I think a lot of that work as far as getting like the timing in those red zone routes will probably be more game plan specific once the season starts. So I think it's something that, we'll definitely get to doing. And right now, though, it's mostly about trying to preserve our body and make sure we're fresh for the next day, because the way training camp structured this year, it's a lot of practices in a short amount of time. So.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next is going to be John Ledyard.
Hey, Cam, earlier this offseason, Coach Arians told us that 12 personnel could be what you guys kind of base out of this year. Is that an offense, strategically, what advantages do you think come for the offense when you're running 2 tight end sets in terms of how defenses want to match up with you?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's pros and cons to every personnel set. I think with 12 personnel, it really puts stress on the defense, whether they're going to play you in nickel or base. What they're going to do with that last linebacker spot, whether they're going to put a DB out there, whether they're going to put a linebacker out there. And when you have guys, in 12 personnel, the tight end specifically, who are capable both in the run game and pass game, you're going to be able to exploit that player. Whether if they put a nickel out there, you're going to have a great advantage in the run game because you have a tight end blocking a DB. If they stay in base, you got tight ends running routes on linebackers, which is, that's a tight end's dream right there. So being able to be consistent both in the run and pass out of 12 personnel is advantageous, really, because of that one spot, putting pressure on the defense that way. And it's a lot easier too when you got Mike and Chris on the outside. It doesn't really matter what personnel you're in. There's going to be stress on the defense.
Right. I was going to mention about Mike and Chris outside. Do you think also that 12, if they come out in base against it and they roll safety down over a tight end, and you get some single eye looks on the outside, could you have matchups too? Right,
for sure. With those 2 guys outside, it really does open stuff up over the middle. So it's been a blessing being able to play with Mike for so many years, because if you don't put a safety over the top of Mike, he's going to kill almost every corner. So Mike's special in that regard. And, the more playmakers you have on offense, the better it's going to be, the more matchup problems you're going to create. So I know the coaches are going to get creative with it, and I'm excited with how everything's progressing.
All right, that's all for today. Appreciate you taking the time, Cam.
Yeah, no problem, Chris.